Hello everyone and welcome to Post to Post. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you are new, my name is Neil, and yes, I know I am wearing a Boston Bruins hat and jersey, and it is very difficult for me as a Canadiens fan, but I like to switch up the jerseys in the video, and the only way I could possibly wear this uniform or this outfit is to have a little bit of my Canadiens in the background to try and offset the ambiance of this jersey. So that's should answer some questions here in the comment section for those who know me. But today is an interesting day because some news broke on Twitter from Alan Walsh, of all people, actually. A very interesting personality in the hockey world, and there's been some controversy around Alan Walsh in the past couple of years. I'm not going to dig into that, but he came out with a bit of a statement that was passed around to the NHL teams in October 18th to be specific, if I'm not mistaken, and it's kind of questionable in my opinion. And the reason I'm making this isn't to break this news to you. You probably already saw it. The reason I'm making this video is to really get your feedback and your comments on this and your thoughts down below in the comment section. I would love to hear from you guys down below. So while a lot of my videos are kind of like you just kind of watch it and hopefully enjoy, this one I'm hoping for a little bit more engagement from you guys, because I'd like to kind of start the conversation and hear your side of the conversation, your thoughts on this. So let me read it, the statement from the NHL to the teams, and we can go from there. I'll give you some of my thoughts. So here's the statement. And like I said, this is from the NHL to the NHL teams, to the GMs, and yada, yada, yada. So here we go. We have already seen several instances of head coaches making unacceptable public comments critical of officiating and video replay decisions, as well as unprofessional conduct on the bench in response to penalty calls, non-calls, and even icing calls. All general managers and coaches are hereby put on notice that, effective immediately, all such public comments and demeaning displays that are critical of officiating, video replay, and supplemental discipline specifically, and more generally the league and the game, will result in an automatic fine of not less than $25,000. That's quite the statement that the NHL is making to teams. They're basically saying, hey, you might not like what's going on here. You might think it's extremely inconsistent, but too bad. Shut your mouth. I kind of have a problem with that. Like, that's really frustrating. I can understand how, some teams really go, they really exaggerate their opinion on a couple of things, and they say, oh, this was the worst call in the world. How is this even possible? And maybe it was a bad call, but at the end of the day, it wasn't as bad as they're really making it out to be. But sometimes they're right. Some calls are just so bad. It's not like they're asking for a rule change, and they are a little bit in certain situations, but overall, no. They're asking for consistency. Consistency is the biggest issue here between the referees and the video replays and stuff. Like, they don't know what to expect because every time it seems like it's different. It's like if you were going to work one day and you were driving and maybe you're doing 10 over the speed limit and a cop pulls you over and he's like, yo, I gotta give you a ticket. You were doing 10 over. If you were doing like 3 over or 5 over or something like that, I probably wouldn't even have pulled you over, but since you're doing 10, I gotta give you a ticket. I mean, like, okay, made a mistake, I'll pay the ticket. The next day, you're going to work again, and you get pulled over by a different cop. And he's like, yeah, you're going 3 over, so I'm actually going to give you a ticket. And you're like, well, I got pulled over yesterday for doing 10, and then the cop said that, if I was doing like 3 or 5 over, it's not a big deal. He wouldn't have even given me a ticket. So, like, how come you're giving me a ticket? And then the police officer's like, well, it's 3 over, so congrats, you got a ticket. And you're just left wondering, like, okay, well, tomorrow, like, what am I supposed to expect? Like, where's the consistency? Like, one referee will call something where one won't. One will let one kind of slide a little bit over the rule line a little bit where another one won't. And even the opposite way where calling penalties that aren't even penalties. So it's really frustrating from a team perspective, a player perspective, a general manager perspective, and most importantly, a fan's perspective. Like, we're sick and tired of this crap because it's deciding games. But the NHL is now telling teams that they cannot be critical of this, or else they will be fined $25,000. Like, this is embarrassing. This is really embarrassing. It's not just embarrassing for the league to have an officiating problem, or a consistency problem, rather. There are some really, really good officials in the NHL. The NHL doesn't necessarily have an official problem. They have a consistency of rule problem. Some of these calls or non-calls are just extremely unacceptable. Like, they're literally deciding games, like I said. I just don't see the value in putting a statement out like this. Like, the NHL is already embarrassed. They're just embarrassing themselves more by trying to shush the teams from complaining, from being critical. The teams have a right to be critical. Why? Because they want things to be fair. That's why they're being critical. They just want things to be consistent. They want things to be fair. The players want it. The fans want it. The teams want it. And the NHL is saying, like, nah, you can't do that. Fine, $25,000. Have a nice day. What? I find that so strange that they would be critical of this, and they're almost ignoring the problem. They're ignoring the issue. I feel like they're not working towards a solution, and they're just kind of like spinning their wheels a little bit, and it just keeps getting worse and worse, and you're digging yourself into a deeper hole, How do you get out of that hole? Telling teams that they can't be critical or complain is not how you get out of that hole. I personally believe that the NHL needs to invest in a better system in place. I don't think that they need to find new officials. I don't blame the officials personally. I blame the way that the rules are written. So anyway, like, it's not necessarily that the rules have to change. It's just that the way that the rules are written potentially needs to change and enforced by the NHL to the officials. And one thing that is, I think, personally really missing from the NHL or fan experience is to have accountability from the officials. Interview one after the game. I understand why they are so protected, and I understand why that's important, but it doesn't mean that they shouldn't be held accountable for their actions. We've already seen biased plays by some of the referees. One got fired not too long ago. There's clearly an issue with officiating in the NHL, and all teams are trying to do is note that, and I think they have the right to do that because it's a fair assessment. I don't think they're being unrealistic most of the time. Sometimes they are, but most of the times they're not. And they're just fighting for a game. They're just fighting for a fair game. And I think everyone wants it, and I don't understand why it's such an issue with the NHL and why they're not trying to invest more time and resources and money and whatever it takes to fix this issue. And it's been ongoing forever. I mean, the whole conversation just specifically around goaltender interference. I've made probably 10 videos on goaltender interference since 2017 when I started on YouTube, and the conversation's always the same. What the hell is goaltender interference? Because we don't know. It changes every year. It changes every game. So I understand that the game can't be perfect. Officials can't be perfect. Rules maybe can't even be perfect, but we can at least strive to be close to perfect and close to be consistent. That's all I want. I just, like, if you want to change a rule and I don't necessarily agree with that rule, that's another issue, but at least be consistent with that rule. Like, I can live with that. I can live with consistency. I just want there to be consistency, guys, and I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm not saying the teams are right. I don't even know if there is a right or wrong. That's why I'm making this video. I would love to read your comments down below, and I do read all the comments, so please, if you have a couple of minutes, what do you think about this statement from the NHL? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think the NHL is right? Do you think the teams are right? And what do you want? Do you prefer the rules to change? And maybe, you know, the officiating kind of change from game to game, and they kind of little lax with some rules and change the script, you know, when they go to overtime or if it's the playoffs or whatever. What do you enjoy? And what do you think should happen, I guess, with the NHL? And do you agree with the NHL trying to hush all these teams, and not only hush them, but fine them monetarily for this as well? So we'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. Have a great day, guys. More videos coming for you on the channel real soon. And yeah, have a great night. I'll talk to you soon. Subscribe if you're not. Like this video if you liked it. And I'll talk to you later. Adios.